Hi, thank you for joining. My name is Panayota Papadopoulos. I use she, her pronouns, and I work as one of the training and education advocates here at Turning Point of Lehigh Valley. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the basics of domestic and intimate partner abuse and a little bit about what we do here at Turning Point. So if you're unfamiliar with us, Turning Point of Lehigh Valley is the local domestic and intimate partner abuse agency for both Lehigh and Northampton counties. When we talk a little bit about our mission here at Turning Point is to eliminate domestic and intimate partner abuse through survivor empowerment, community education, and engagement. Our mission really is at the heart of everything that we do here. In order to understand really what it is that we do, though, it's important to understand what actually is domestic and intimate partner abuse. So let's talk about it. What is it? Domestic and intimate partner abuse, or DIPA, as we sometimes call it for short here, is a pattern of coercive, intentional behaviors that escalate over time. We really are, again, looking for that pattern. I also want to make a note that we use the term domestic and intimate partner abuse, but sometimes you'll see the terms domestic violence or intimate partner violence. We are very intentional here at Turning Point to use the word abuse because we want to recognize that just because a situation has not turned violent doesn't mean that it's not abuse. So we do serve those who are experiencing abuse, even if it hasn't gotten to that point of violence. That being said, we are looking for that pattern of coercive, intentional behaviors. This pattern often will escalate through a typical 4-phase cycle. In the first phase, often called the honeymoon phase, abusers begin gaining control of the survivor through their charm. They often appear to be the perfect partner. They might give gifts, be extra complimentary, or even use love bombing type tactics, right, to establish a quick connection and charm the survivor into a relationship. As time progresses, right, tensions in the relationship will begin to build. We enter this second phase called the tension building phase. As the abuser begins using abusive tactics, it becomes a form of psychological warfare to maintain control of the relationship and of the survivor. At this point, the survivor often feels like they're walking on eggshells. They don't know what they might say, what they might do that will upset their partner. As the cycle continues, right, the abuser may escalate the abusive tactics and the tensions that are continuing to build in order to, again, maintain control in the situation. Oftentimes, a particularly volatile incident will take place. This could look like a physically violent incident. This could be a sexually violent incident. It could honestly just be a verbal fit of rage. Again, really, they are trying to just escalate that level of control in order to maintain control. As time goes on, however, after this incident, in the last phase, we enter the reconciliation phase. The abuser returns to the survivor in an effort to reconcile. They might apologize for their abusive behavior, or they might even flip the script, right? Minimizing the abuse, or even blaming the survivor, lacking that level of accountability for their own abusive actions. Both parties will slowly re-enter the honeymoon period, and everything seems calm again as the cycle of abuse unfortunately continues and escalates over time. While this cycle appears fairly linear, not every situation will follow the cycle exactly. We show this example just to get a general understanding of the phases and cycles of abuse that you may see. That being said, why does domestic and intimate partner abuse happen? Really what it comes down to, ultimately the abuser seeks to gain or maintain power and control over someone in the relationship. Power and control, again, are really the key words here in a domestic and intimate partner abuse situation. Abusers will often use a variety of tactics as displayed in the power and control wheel on the right of the screen. These abusive tactics or behaviors seek out those imbalances of power in order to coerce or force the survivor into submission or into obedience. Oftentimes the abuse will more frequently be seen or displayed through varying degrees of the abusive tactics in the inner circle, right? That light purple circle. So we'll see elements or tactics of emotional abuse, financial abuse, digital abuse, or abuse in regards to their technology, controlling their technology access, intimidation, right? Stalking, manipulation by the abuser, etc. These tactics are used by the abuser to continue to build up that tension in the relationship and to ultimately maintain that control of the survivor. Some specific examples of some of these tactics that are more frequently seen may be things like name calling, right? Gaslighting, twisting somebody's reality or memory, minimizing or even denying that the abuse occurred, withholding or denying access to someone's finances, or even opening accounts without the survivor's knowledge or consent, destroying property, using children in the relationship to guilt the survivor, monitoring or limiting social interactions, both digitally and in person, threatening to harm, threatening to expose personal information, using their social status or social privilege to shame and dismiss the survivor, or even sending unwanted or excessive calls or texts. This is not an extensive list. There are a variety of other tactics that may be used, but these abusive behaviors are really the more frequently seen behaviors and tactics that we will see by the abuser. Unfortunately, this abuse may escalate to a level of physical or sexual violence, as we see in that outer ring, that dark purple wheel. But that violence might not exist as well, right? Physical or sexual violence or abuse may happen once and then never again. It may happen all the time. It might never happen, right? Ultimately, this graphic is there to help remind us that the signs and tactics of abuse that we will see more frequently rely on that power and control dynamic or power and control imbalance that is happening throughout the relationship. With the dynamics of power and control, it's ultimately important to understand who is affected by this as well. So, unfortunately, as we see who is affected, anyone and everyone, right? Unfortunately, over 1 in 3 women, over 1 in 3 teens, over 1 in 3 who identify as LGBTQ+, and over 1 in 4 men go through physical abuse from an intimate partner at some point in their lives. Right? To put this into context, if you think about every 3 women or every 4 men you see walking down the street, at least one of them have likely been physically abused by an intimate partner at some point in their lives. Just as domestic and intimate partner abuse doesn't discriminate who it affects, we at Turning Point also do not discriminate who we serve. We support survivors of all identities through our services. So let's talk a little bit about our services and what we offer. All of our services are survivor-driven and trauma-responsive, trauma-informed, right? Meaning that we intend and ensure that the survivors provided do not further harm or cause further trauma to the individual. Survivor-driven, meaning, again, the survivor that comes to us really is the one making those choices for how they want to proceed, right? We empower them with the resources that we have available, but ultimately it is their life and their choice, and we want to respect that. All of our services that are offered are confidential and offered at no cost to the community. So anyone receiving services, it's offered at no cost. One of our services is empowerment counseling. Our empowerment counselors are not therapists, but they are available to help support and guide our survivors and counsel them through what they may be experiencing. We offer counseling for adults, children, and teens, both individually and in groups. We also have legal advocates as well. Our legal advocates have offices in both Lehigh and Northampton County courthouses who can support and guide survivors seeking a protection from abuse order. While they can't give out legal advice, they are able to make referrals to legal support for additional needs if required. As far as housing, we do have an emergency safe house program for any survivor who is fleeing an abusive situation and or who is in immediate danger. Right? It is our emergency safe house program. However, we also have transitional housing advocates that can help assist survivors with their long-term housing needs. Finally, our training and education team provides awareness of our mission and services and provides medical advocacy and awareness education throughout the entire Lehigh Valley community. Because after all, if we don't know that this exists, how can we support our survivors that are going through it? Our 24/7 helpline is really our main pipeline. It's the access point to all of our services. Calling the helpline can answer any general questions you may have, or if you're in crisis and need support, it can help connect you with any of our services if you are experiencing abuse. We're here to help ultimately at any time. It's 24/7. Additionally, the national hotline and teen text line are available for support if you're not local to the Lehigh Valley, if a teen needs support and prefers to text, or if you're on vacation and you need a good resource or you want to share resources with those outside of the Lehigh Valley. Again, you can always use that national hotline resource or the Love is Respect resource as well to find other supportive resources and agencies close to you. Finally, feel free to follow us on social media through Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, or you can visit our website for more information, educational articles, upcoming events, and other trainings, or even to sign up for our monthly newsletter to read more about our work, what we do, and how you can get involved and support survivors. I hope you learned a little bit more about domestic and intimate partner abuse. We hope you never need us, but if you do, we're here to help. Feel free to call. Thank you for joining us today. Please stay safe and have a wonderful day.